You've seen the headlines. Supposedly, these infrared saunas and the traditional saunas will not and cannot detoxify you. Let me show you why that's false. Let's get started. For this week's Whiteboard Wednesday, I'm Matt. I've been in the sauna industry for over 7 years. We've tested over 42 sauna brands. I think it's actually 44, but somebody behind the camera has been miscounting. Today, what we're going to get into is how saunas actually detoxify you. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. A lot of people like to say that saunas cannot and will not detoxify you. But over the years, I have seen thousands of people get great benefit from using these hot boxes. Yeah, we're gonna call them a hot box. That way, it doesn't matter if you like infrared, traditional, whatever floats your boat. You wanna use a sweat lodge, use a sweat lodge. Let's get into it. So in today's video, we've got 6 subpoints, but all we're really talking about is heat therapy. Heat therapy is the catalyst that leads to hyperthermic response in the body that's causing vasodilation, that's causing the increase in circulation. If you're in an infrared sauna, that's also helping dissolve tissues that are stored in your fat cells, right? Because you're getting radiant heat on those. So whether they're water soluble or fat soluble, you can take different compounds to help dilute those and dissolve them. You can also do the same thing in a traditional sauna, it just takes a little bit longer. You don't have the radiant heat necessarily at a low temperature, but let's get into the actual points of how a sauna is helping you detoxify. This is actually how it works. It truly is.
It better be.
So when you use heat therapy, what are you doing? You're heating up the body. What is this heat stress that we're inducing, right? It doesn't matter. Look at the PubMed research. Take everything that I say and throw it out. Take everything else that everyone else says and throw it out. Like, if you want to be a disbeliever for a second, suspend your disbelief. Go to other countries, look at PubMed research. How are they doing heat therapy without using a sauna? Why are they wrapping people in hot blankets? Why are they putting them in hot baths or hot tubs or jacuzzis, right? So I'm not here to I don't want to talk you into anything that's not right for you. At the same time, I have witnessed personally for almost 10 years now, almost a decade, people get great benefit from heat therapy. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily matter how they do it, it's just that they do it consistently and that they take the right steps once they understand how this works. So the body is a natural filter. Our lymphatic system, our blood, our organs, it is one gigantic filter. We take medium in, we consume medium, food, whatever you want to call it, particulate. You could eat dirt if you want. I don't know where you come from. We take in something, we filter it, we turn it into energy, and then we get rid of the waste. That's all that's happening. The body is meant to detoxify itself on its own. So this fallacy that people are saying that saunas don't detoxify you is false, right? You could also say that saunas do detoxify you is false, right? And here's why. The body is primed to do this on its own. It is designed to detox itself. All a sauna is doing, it's not creating the environmental conditionals that are required in order for a body to detoxify. It's supporting them and accelerating them from underneath. It's improving the foundation that's there that was already perfect and it's on its own. So let's get into what's happening. You do heat therapy, you experience vasodilation, you experience an increase in heart rate, you experience an increase in circulation. What else is happening? Much like exercise, you begin what? Sweating, so that the body wants to cool itself. If we were just gonna go over like a quick little, what is detox? What happens when the body is detoxifying itself? It really only has 2 choices. It can detoxify itself through sweat, through saliva, through urine, through excretory pathways. But for a lot of those, what has to happen first? Processing from the organs. You have to send the medium through the filter and then also dilute that down further, send it to the blood, send it to the organs, and then it gets excreted, whatever's left over. So what happens is, when you say that saunas don't detoxify you, that actually can't be true because your body is detoxifying with or without the sauna. The sauna is just improving, accelerating, or allowing the body to do that under a different set of conditions when it can't do it on its own. Meaning, if you're ill, you can't exercise, you're not sweating, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. If I put you in a 130-degree radiant hot box, and I can make you sweat without moving, I can give you zone 1, low zone 2 cardio, I can give you that vasodilation. I can give you that increased circulation. I can make you sweat without moving. I can essentially mimic some of the effects from exercise without you being able to physically do it. How are we not supporting detoxification? We're not creating it, right? So those people that say saunas do not detoxify you, in one breath, they're right? Because the body is a glorious machine. This spacesuit that we're wearing is incredible, right? So it's not creating the environmental ability or conditionals within the body in order to execute on the process of detoxification. But what it is doing when you sit in this sucker is it's aiding in the process. It can accelerate it. It can allow you to execute on it when you physically are unable. So on the other breath, saunas do detoxify you. Where I come from, I've seen thousands of people get great benefit. And here's why. Complete medical disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. You guys can argue all you want whether saunas detoxify you or not. But I'm here to tell you I've recovered from 2 serious life events, and sauna has been a huge part of that protocol. It helped me heal from toxic drug exposure during leukemia treatment, and it also helped me detoxify from heavy metal toxicity. I'm gonna go through 6 points right now on how I see sauna helping thousands of people get great benefit every single year. So point number 1 is when you're in this hot box, right? What's happening? The first thing that happens is your body wants to sweat. You've got an increased heart rate. You're experiencing vasodilation, an increase in blood flow. We're gonna just call this dilation, right? Everything is dilated, ramped up, expanded, increase, just going along with that theme. So this can be a drawing of me. If you don't like, oh wow. Camera guy, you need to stay on point. I know you don't like my antics, but somebody will. Hey, let's put some big ears on him too. I mean, some big old ears. Hey, maybe we should do a little hoop earring. Somebody out there is gonna appreciate this. Weren't you bored in school? I mean, who wants this? Why have I never done whiteboard videos? Because I think they're boring, but this guy convinces me to do this. So let's stay on track. We have, I guess you could say me, right? So I'm in this hot box. I'm in here for 30 minutes. What am I experiencing? Vasodilation. I'm experiencing an increase in circulation. We won't draw anything else down there about circulating. I'm increasing my circulation throughout the body. Blood flows everywhere. Vasodilation, you're also getting all right, it's kind of funny. Maybe somebody in the audience is an expert artist and does those whiteboard videos. Could you just take what's in here and what's in here and make it palatable? Because he says this is not palatable. You got vasodilation going on. We're increasing everything just as we would if we were exercising. Yet, we're sitting still, not moving. We were a heart rate monitor. Where are we at? High zone 1, low zone 2. So, we're facilitating all this, whether movement is present, whether motion is present or not. What's happening? Well, you could use the word dissolution. I use that word because it's easier to fit it on the whiteboard. But basically, you're helping break down different compounds, especially if you're in an infrared sauna. You're using radiant heat, hitting the tissues, in the fat cells, lymphatic fluid exchange is getting ramped up. You're helping things that could be, how would the best way to describe it? We could say lodged or dislodged, right? We're helping things become mobilized, right? When I do a diagram of somebody and we talk about like why sauna detox binders work, and we use the intestinal tract as a diagram, when we basically add intestinal binders as an intestinal sweep, if you had a big spill in your kitchen, on the kitchen floor, like a big spill, at least a gallon or 2 of water, would you go for 15 rolls of paper towels first, or would you use a mop, right? Intestinal binders are the mop. But how do you even induce things to where a permeable gut would have something in circulation that could be recirculated? First, you need to go through something like this process. This is why sometimes when people use sauna, they feel ill. They get headaches, they feel tired. A lot of other things happen too, dehydration, mineral imbalance, this, that, and the other. But when you begin to mobilize, maybe that's a better term here. Instead of using dissolution, it's easier for you to follow if we just say mobilize. Because you're mobilizing things sometimes that you wouldn't be able to even if you were just using exercise and detox binders, okay? This is why also some people's chelation protocols don't work. They get really sick on chelation. Why? Because they induce all types of mobilization. They have a permeable gut, and then instead of things going to the excretory pathways, it recirculates. Their lining is permeable. So what happens? This goes back into circulation instead of being excreted. So next thing, which we're already kind of on to point number 3, which is an induction of increased circulation, but it's also an induction of increased particulate in circulation. That's why this is different than vasodilation. There's a huge difference between these two. So when you're inducing compounds into circulation that are stored in fat cells, that are stored in lymphatic fluid, those are not normally present in that quantity, right? So sauna foundationally is allowing the body to ramp that up. It's not creating it for the body. So those that say, oh, sauna can't detoxify, this is why they're kind of right when they say that, even though it's just a tabloid headline that is trying to like get your attention. The next thing to pay attention to is what happens to your lymph system. What happens when you ramp up lymphatic fluid exchange? Point number 4. So when you have an increase in lymph, where does the lymph go? Did you know that the body is made up of however many % water? It's like something ridiculous, like a high percentage. I don't know the number, I'd be making it up. But have you ever cut yourself and seen water come out of you? So how can we be made of like 80, 90, whatever % water, however much it is, and we don't have any water come out of us when we have a laceration? Where the hell does it go? So what do you think happens to your lymph fluid, your lymph tissue, your lymph system? Where does it drain? Where does this gigantic filter, send things? Okay? It sends it to the blood. Number 5, right? So the sauna is not creating the condition for the lymph in the blood to filter. It's built in. However, it can change how this works. You get in this hot box, you experience these points, you ramp up this and this, then what happens? This is where everyone wants to argue about detoxifying with saunas versus without, right? This is where everyone wants to not read between the lines and see what really happens. So when you're in the hot box and you're experiencing all this, you have 2 options. We go back to point A, point B. We have these compounds that the circulation has ramped up, induced them into circulation. Where do they go? Where do they drain? Where does that fluid go? You do have the ability to sweat out a lot of pesticides, a lot of inorganic, or however you would say it, organic material through the skin, but it depends on, and I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor, and there's people that are far smarter than I that can teach you this. Where do you think I learned it, right? We didn't just pull this out of a hat. And people have been wrong over the years that taught me. I'm still learning even today. But basically, the particle size determines, do you sweat out the toxins or do you not? And this is, at the end of the day, this is where these people are right when they say saunas don't detoxify you or saunas do detoxify you. Because they both do and they don't. It's interchangeable, right? When you have small enough particulate that can come out through the skin, you do experience sweating out toxins from the sauna at a different rate than you would from just exercise. When you have just exercise and you're not in the hot box, you don't experience the same liquefaction of things in your fat cells, especially if you take some type of a modified supplement or chelator that assists in that process. You cannot replicate that with just exercise alone, generally. Right? You need the radiant heat exposure from an infrared sauna specifically. You can do it in a traditional sauna, but it's going to take a lot longer. So then what happens from here? Everything that we just talked about is filtering. Whatever is not sweat out through the skin that's still in circulation, where does that go? Organs. Goes to the excretory pathways, right? It's slowly refining until it's time to get rid of it. So it has a couple of options before it reaches that point. But this is the overall process. This is how saunas can help you detoxify. It's not creating the process, that's built in, but it is facilitating and supporting and accelerating the process. So I think the question of do saunas detoxify you or do they not is kind of the wrong question to be asking. This is a health and wellness channel. This is health and wellness equipment that we're talking about. The reality of this is sauna can support your natural built-in detoxification. So the real truth is that both are correct. It just depends on how you use them.